tariffs, by and large, between the U.S. and Canada, the U.S. and Mexico are very low. And so there aren't enormous potential gains to come out of any of these deals. And so getting a deal is really just avoiding going backwards. And I think markets are rewarding that. But I don't see this as a tremendous step forward. Given the authorities of the president, he can't negotiate a bilateral deal with Mexico. He can only modernize NAFTA. And given what we know about the range of issues left with Canada, we are far from over the finish line. So this is good news in that progress is, negotiations, continuing progress is being made, but it's not a big deal.
I've been sort of dimly aware of the idea that he can't negotiate a bilateral deal. Right. So how does he get around that sort of legislative stipulation, Doug?
He can't get around it. The Congress has delegated to the administration trade promotion authority. It does it with parameters. They can't simply negotiate anything they want. Those parameters were largely designed to allow TPP to go forward, which in itself was a modernization of NAFTA. That was U.S., Mexico, Canada, bring in digital goods, things like that. So all that's fair game under his authorities. But he can't simply turn around and go to Mexico and say, hey, let's have a deal. He's going to have to get that ratified from scratch on Capitol Hill. And so they're a long way from anything that resembles something that will pass the Congress.
The President, Jared, says that this is going to be good for American farmers. It's going to be good for American workers. What's your view?
Well, starting with American workers, I actually think he has a point. I checked in with some of my friends in the labor community this morning, and they said they liked what they were seeing. While Doug is definitely correct about the tariffs, there's actually a lot of stuff in NAFTA that, of course, American workers, American manufacturers have long disagreed with. So rules of origin, the higher wage stipulations that are apparently in this agreement, and taking down of the investor dispute settlement, which I understand is out of the U.S. Mexican part of the agreement, those are actually pretty big deals for the part of the community that's arguing not so much about tariffs, but about things in NAFTA they've long disliked. I agree with Doug's point, by the way, about the political machinations of this and how we're not nearly at a deal. But 2 points on that. One, I think what the markets are saying is they really like free trade, and they really don't like the kind of chaos that Trump creates with the trade war. So anytime the trade war seems exacerbated, markets sell off, and vice versa, as we're seeing today. But I also think it's the case that Trump would be perfectly willing to pull out of NAFTA and do a bilateral with Mexico and with Canada because that's what he likes. It's a long, complicated process to get to here for there, as Doug said, but I don't think that Trump would necessarily disdain that path.
So, Doug, I want to just agree with Jared on, reading the psychology of the markets and things. I think every step away from a large global trade war, investors reward. And I think Jared's done the analysis of impacts on some of the auto sector and workers correctly. But I want to note a little irony alert here. Those wage stipulations, the content stipulations, the sourcing for iron and steel in North America, those are all non-tariff trade barriers. And for the administration to claim their strategy is to get to agreements with lower barriers to trade while negotiating trade barriers, that doesn't quite hang together.